Yowdy dowdy everybody. I've been uploading on YouTube since 2019. Crazy, I know. I gotta hope most of you are at least older than that. In that time, I've witnessed YouTube make a lot of changes. When I was a kid, I wanted so bad to be living the YouTuber life, you know? I wanted to go to VidCon. I wanted to tour the world doing live shows. I wanted an audience of millions of people who all know and love me. My biggest dream is that I want to high-five a huge line of my fans. Even as a kid, I was embarrassed to tell people my dream job was internet celebrity because if I was talking to a regular person, they probably wouldn't get it. And I was there for the peak of Let's Plays. I watched DanTDM religiously. I knew people who only watched Markiplier or Jacksepticeye. I really only watched animations of them, so I really only remember Jacksepticeye calling that robot voice in sister location GLaDOS. But at the time, I didn't know what Portal was, so I didn't get the reference. I witnessed the rise and fall of storytime animation with creators like Jaden Animations and The Odd Ones Out. I even watched Merg before I don't want to talk about Merg. All I'll say is that if Merg didn't play your fan game, I didn't know it existed. But recently, my dreams have just felt farther and farther away. The current era of YouTube right now is just scary, especially with its shitty AI moderation, which I'll touch on later. But I mostly just feel like I missed my time to be a YouTuber. I want to live the life I would have in 2017, since that's when I first started watching the wider world of YouTube. That's where I learned Logan Paul existed, and he sucks. Or Shane Dawson, who, I mean, hey, me neither, but I'm glad you specified. When I say I missed my time to be a YouTuber, I mostly mean that nothing I want to do is currently quote-unquote trending. Remember DanTDM? I mentioned DanTDM, right? I literally based my dreams off of whatever I saw him doing at the time. See, remember when I said my dream is to high-five a huge line of fans? I will never feel like I've quote-unquote made it until I have that moment. Remember one time when another YouTuber I watched a little of at the time, Ethan Gamer TV, made a video about meeting DanTDM. And I think it was then when I realized that old Danny isn't just my personal favorite little guy on my phone, but actually a huge deal. And that pretty much crushed my dreams of meeting DanTDM. DanTDM made a bunch of Minecraft mod showcases, and when I was a kid, I took that as, oh my god, I can get popular by playing my favorite video game, Minecraft for the Xbox One? Don't get me wrong, Minecraft is still going strong, and I don't think it'll ever leave the public eye. I mean to say, I think Minecraft is a forever IP people are going to be studying in the future when they're forced to learn about corporations in the 2010s. But if you look at the views Minecraft rakes in nowadays compared to back then, it's clear that the kids of today care about more important things, like Poppy Playtime Chapter 6. I was there for the Mascot Horror Rise too, so I get it. Everyone wants to be the next Five Nights at Freddy's, Hello Neighbor, Benny the Ink Machine, or Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. So I know this genre of shitty horror is just kind of here to stay, but I don't just hate Poppy Playtime because it's the newest Mascot horror, not as good as what I had when I was a kid. I hate Poppy Playtime because it's just a Frankenstein of everything that came before it. I mean, the first chapter has he coming back to a place he used to work at 30 years ago, and when you get there, it's in a state of disrepair. Then you turn on some machine, and uh-oh, the mascot part of the horror starts acting freaky, and then at the end, a tall, lanky monster with a crescent-shaped head chases you around for a few minutes until the chapter ends. Yeah, I just don't think Poppy Playtime is original with anything it does, and I'm getting off topic. So let me just get back to the point of this video by saying that Poppy Playtime feels like the sloppy segments of YouTubers playing horror games on YouTube. I'm a victim of this, and god, did I clearly hate playing that fucking game.
Genuinely, you are the worst piece of shit boss fight I have ever had to do. You are the most unpleasurable boss I have ever fought in any game I have had the misfortune of playing.
Not to mention the Nintendo side of things. Two really big YouTubers that inspired the kind of games I wanted to play were Space Hamster and Peanut Butter Gamer. They made these really well edited videos that felt more like watching an episode of a review show than a guy who just sits in their chair playing video games. And I mean, that's what they did, but they didn't just play them, they talked about them. Peanut Butter Gamer was my angry video game nerd, and Space Hamster was a guy I always confused him for. I mean, these guys pretty much did the same thing. Hell, they were friends, so I never really realized who I was watching until both of them showed up at once. And I think that a game review style can definitely still work nowadays, but these videos were being made at a time when Nintendo videos were doing really well. And that leads me back to my first point. Was it my first point? It was one of the points I made earlier. When I was a kid, I wanted to do whatever my favorite YouTuber did. I wanted to be DanTDM. I wanted to be Space Hamster. Fuck, I've mentioned this before in a second channel video, but one of my biggest inspirations for videos I wanted to make was when Alpharad was playing Mario Maker. Back in 2020, when everyone was stuck inside and all the teachers were talking about, this is history. People in the future are gonna study this. Your kids are gonna ask you about this when you're all grown up. This is definitely off topic, but I think the last time I remember being told, your kids are gonna be taught about this in the future, was the big teachers walkout out where a bunch of school teachers in America went on strike because the government refused to give schools enough money to function. I remember this culminating in the government first trying to just raise the average pay for teachers, but once it became clear the goal of the walkout was to provide more budget to schooling in the US, they finally caved and said, alright, I'll give you guys 17% more money. And I remember this because that was a time I was in 4th grade and didn't have to go to school for a month. I promise I'll stop getting off topic. Because of how YouTube works nowadays, all these spaces are sort of closed off. Back then, everyone was collabing with creators from all corners of YouTube because A, it was fun, and B, it did well and introduced more people to other sides of YouTube. This all culminated in 2020 when, again, we were all stuck inside, so everyone just grabbed a bunch of fellow creators and started playing Among Us. I mean, I was already a Jane Animations fan, but if I wasn't, I'd probably want to check her out after seeing all those Among Us videos with Alpharad. Side note, as a viewer, seeing both my favorite YouTuber become best friends with my previous favorite YouTuber is one of the coolest things ever. Nowadays, when you see collabs between YouTubers, they're all confined to a small bubble, which is fine. It's nice seeing all your favorite creators from a specific quarter collabing, and this isn't new. I mean, creators of similar content have collabed for as long as I can remember. In my script, it just says bring up Dream SMP. What the fuck am I supposed to talk about? But it's very clear nowadays that the algorithm and what performs well is based more off specific niches, which it was before, but nowadays it's especially more apparent. I really do miss that era where everyone on the platform felt interconnected. I miss it a lot. I missed it. That's my point. I just feel like I missed the time when I wanted to be a YouTuber, which, can't you blame me? This was when every kid got inspired to be a YouTuber, and it really seemed like a goldmine where if you got lucky enough and people liked you, you could become rich and famous just by being yourself in front of millions of people. That was a big appeal of being a YouTuber, at least to me. It was something fun I really wanted to do, and it could lead to great success. But nowadays, if you're a YouTuber, that promise of money and fans just isn't there anymore. There's a billion small YouTubers, and there always was, but now it's clear that everyone still has dreams of being the next fucking, Jax Films. But if there's one thing I miss that I really feel like I can't not talk about, it's VidCon. I mentioned earlier, I've always wanted to go to VidCon, and that's still true. I want to go to a big convention where all my favorite YouTubers are there. I want to meet them. I want to bump into fellow creators waiting in line and have nice conversations that I can then use to casually flex on my viewers and say something like, oh yeah, Markiplier, I know him, and I've spoken to him. But the last VidCon was a huge flop. First of all, they didn't get any YouTube icons to at least make an appearance. From what I heard, it was pretty much empty, and instead of booths where you had meet and greets with like a day in TDM, you had a bunch of booths advertising the newest AI model. YouTube's been on a rise of profit and viewership, and right now it's pretty much twice the size of when I was a kid, but it's very clear it had a steady decline in quality. All of the big creators that made YouTube what it is are now either retired or canceled off the face of the planet, and YouTube very clearly doesn't have that relationship they did with those creators that made the platform. I mean, you used to see tons of videos about top creators being invited to panels at VidCon. You'd see YouTube sending people care packages just for being some of the best YouTubers. But it's very different now, and it just doesn't feel like YouTube cares about their creators anymore. That time where the site just felt so connected and nice is just gone. The magic is gone. I missed it. And this whole YouTube doesn't care is so obvious, especially when you look into the whole AI moderation thing. Told you I'd touch on this later. The whole thing that prompted me to make this video is the fact that being a YouTuber right now just feels scary. I don't know. There have been more and more cases of huge creators being taken down, or even smaller ones that end up losing everything they built up until that point simply because the AI flagged them for something that clearly should not have been flagged for. Remember a bit ago when they announced their AI moderation to detect slop content? I recall a little YouTuber known as Weebbear, who makes these really nice videos, usually about stuff like Deltarune Trivia or Deltarune News, but one day, his entire life flashed before his eyes when his channel was suddenly demonetized because the AI flagged his video as slop. And because the YouTube support system sucks, and it's also shitty AI, he wasn't getting any help. Again, YouTube does not care about its creators anymore. And if it wasn't for my friend Pixel World to help him recover his channel, he'd probably have to either A, start a new one, or to get a regular job, I don't know. I think the reason ended up being something like he made a bunch of YouTube posts of Deltarune memes, and if you didn't know or didn't realize, if your post has an image, it'll be pushed out as a short to people who subscribe to you. The AI flagged the reposted memes as slop and took his entire channel down, despite the fact that his main content very clearly had a lot of effort put into it. This happened to a bunch of other creators too, where the AI would wrongfully demonetize a bunch of normal channels and there was nothing anyone could do about it. And I remember at the time feeling really scared to just be a YouTuber, since it's clear the shitty AI isn't taking down what it should be and instead punishing normal passionate creators who put a lot of effort into their videos. I bring this up because it's essentially happening again. But this time, instead of affecting people who read memes with Minecraft parkour in the background, it's currently killing an entire genre of YouTube. I'm serious when I say that storytime animators are in danger. A bit ago, Mascot, who's this animator I was a fan of, revealed that YouTube's AI flagged their channel for misleading family content. What does this mean? Well, this was put in place after channels like Elsagate happened, where channels targeted towards kids post sexual or violent content, and like, that's a whole gross rabbit hole of its own. But recently, this sort of stuff is suddenly affecting the entire animation community of YouTube, where creators are suddenly being demonetized. The videos in question are usually typical animations, and since YouTube sees bright colors and slightly mature topics, its shitty AI treats it like MCAS as the next fucking Elsagate. Despite the fact that none of these channels are marked as for kids, and many of them make it clear their videos are meant for a more mature audience, simply the fact it's animation means that YouTube is pushing it towards kids and then striking the channels for not being family friendly enough, despite the fact that many of them already built their community as not targeted towards kids. What this means is that creators who've been able to make these kinds of videos without issue for years are suddenly being taken down because they have the audacity to want to draw. I get that the majority of YouTube viewership are kids, but that doesn't mean it's up to YouTube to parent to a point where the creators who make an actual effort to not be shown to said kids are punished for being a little too mature. It's not like they're posting softcore porn, and in the case of Mscast, I genuinely don't know what's too mature about their content. A friend told me they drew Pomni with tits, but for the life of me, I can't find a good example of what the AI would see and say, oh, that gesture has too much jiggle physics. I know I'm not saying anything new, but while I do think YouTube doing a better job moderating what gets shown to kids is definitely important since there's so many kids on the platform, I also think that the way they're going about it is just wrong. AI is not nearly good enough to detect what's actual misleading family content and what's just a parody animation or someone talking about their high school sketchbook, which, for the record, isn't even trying to look like family content. It's just the fact that these videos use drawings and YouTube's shitty AI thinks that it makes it a cartoon and thus targeted towards kids. I don't really have anything else to talk about. This video is just kind of me explaining that I really feel like this is the worst era to be a YouTuber, but at the same time, it's my era. And it's not like YouTube didn't have a problem in the past. I mean, how many major YouTubers turn out to be groomers? Really, I just think that this new climate of YouTube is something I'm not really familiar with, at least as not familiar with YouTube in the 2010s, so I don't know what to do if I run into a problem. And that's pretty much everything I had to say. Thank you for watching. Mario Maker video coming soon, I swear. I still want to play video games, I just also want to rant every now and then. Anyways, please subscribe. Bye!